We have a combat masteries reveal so big I can't use a face cam. Let's talk about this because I got some thoughts and I want to share my plan right now for everyone. To begin with, you get 10 combat mastery points and you get them by defeating 10 separate challenges. And don't worry about the last challenge. I'm going to explain why I don't think for most people it matters. You're going to defeat a giant, that's easy. Defeat 10 monsters with a combat level of 100 plus. Defeat Scurious by yourself. Defeat a monster with a Slayer requirement of 55 plus. Defeat Jad in the fight caves. Reach a combat level of 100. Defeat an Echo boss. Defeat 2 unique Echo bosses. Defeat 3 unique Echo bosses. Zuck. Defeat Zuck. That would be the Inferno. Now, the reason I don't think it matters for most people is I think the vast majority of players are going to end up going either how do I want to word this? A 6-4 build or doing a 6-3-1 build because I don't think the fourth tier on your off style is really needed. Fourth tier is healing, so do you really need that on your off style? Because of that, I don't think it's that important to actually beat Zuck unless you're trying to do like a 5-5 build or something a little more unique here. But then if you do any of those builds that don't go 6, you're missing out on the tier 6 passive, which I get the feeling is going to be important. So let's talk about these passives real quick. 95% chance to same weapon charges, ammunition, runes used for spells. If you are going range or you are going magic, I highly recommend the first thing you do, and I mean you start in Lumbridge, go kill a giant, because they are going to be packed, and the moment you kill that giant, you get your first point. And when you use your first point, you save 95% of weapon charges, ammunition, and runes used for spells, okay? Just go ahead and defeat that giant right off the bat. Whatever your day one plan is, whatever you were going to do to rush, my suggestion is do the giant first if you're going range or magic and you think you're going to do that before you get a second region to make things easier, okay? Then, after you do that, we get the passive of healing from all sources is increased by 20% when you get to 2 points in one tier. You get accuracy of all styles is increased by 100% at 3 tiers. Damage is reduced by 15% at 4 tiers. Passive 5, prayer point gain from all sources is increased by 25% at 5 tiers. And attacks with all styles now have a 60% prayer penetration. Now, I've already seen people saying, listen, I'm good at the game, so I don't need this prayer penetration. I don't need any of these tier 6s. I'm going to go 2 5s, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. And that's a choice. My expectation is, because this is tier 6, right? My thought is, Jagex might be saying, defeat a giant, defeat 10 monsters with a combat level, defeat Scurious, defeat the Slayer, defeat the Fight Cave, get combat level 100. That gets you to 6. And that should be pretty easy. Fight Caves is pretty easy in leagues. And once you do that, then you face the Echo boss. And they also put it in that order of this. I expect that the Echo bosses are going to have prayers, protection prayers. So if you're thinking, well, the bosses in my region don't use protection prayers, so I don't really need it, I'm questioning whether the Echo bosses, maybe all of them use different prayers, right? So just putting that out there, that might be very, very, very important for you to be able to beat the Echo bosses easy, especially if you're focusing one style. Now, last league, I went magic, and I enjoyed it. I didn't have as much time as I would like in the league to play it. I decided this time to go range. And I am really liking range because I think range can basically do everything. And I've done some calculations. Like, let's just read ranges real quick. Damage rolls beneath 30% of max hit with ranged are increased to 30%. Now, what this means is every single time you do hit, you will do at least 30% damage. This is a guarantee of damage. Every time you don't miss. Now, you can miss still at this point, but every hit is damage. Each subsequent range attack has its max hit increased by an additional 5%, resets after 20%. So the faster you attack, you get an increased max hit. That increased max hit can also technically increase your min hit too, and it resets, so it's just going to be like a small boost that cycles. And then you get to 3, range attack rate is reduced to 80% rounding down. Now, you see that for all the different styles here, but why I think it's so important for ranged, especially if you're going T, or you are going desert, This takes a blowpipe and lowers that blowpipe to 1 tick. 1 tick blowpipe. So if I follow it in the order they have here, just, whatever, I get to Scurrius by myself. I'm ready for that 1 tick blowpipe. My darts, I believe, are also 1 tick. I forgot to check that to be 100% sure. But this is a huge increase for range when you get to your blowpipe if you're going T or desert. And then we get another big one. Every 5th ranged hit, heal 5 hit points. So this is another big bonus to using something like a blowpipe. Because the other ones, if you look here, melee hits have a 5% chance to heal 40 of the damage dealt. And then you have this magic one that's like you heal. It basically ends up being 1% healing, I think. So with this here, with range, no matter how many, as long as you hit, every 5th hit heals you. And if you're so you could reword this as every 5 ticks. If you're getting those in, you heal 5 hit points. Then we get to the next one. Ranged attack rate set to 50% rounded down, 5 tick rounded up below 4 tick. So this is the same as the previous league, I believe, with like rounding. People have like an issue because it says above 5 and below 4. 5 is included in the I believe it's below 4. So I think you'll have to double check. But basically for range, this is nice. But you already have your blowpipe. But this will help you with things like your rune crossbow, right, or your dragon crossbow, or your whatever crossbow. And then we have 6, which is a game changer. I was disappointed, and then I'm not. Never miss with ranged. I was disappointed because I was already running some calcs before, and I'm like, I'm at like a high chance. Is it really that big a deal? We have a min damage. And this is not the combat relic. We don't know what the combat relic's going to do, but we have a min damage here. We have a heal based on hitting. We have extra damage based on hitting. So as soon as you hit this 6, you have a guaranteed min, because every hit will hit. We have a guaranteed increase in damage, because every hit will hit. And then we have a guaranteed heal. That's pretty strong. So for me, I'm willing to go range, and we have the 60% prayer penetration at 6. I think that this can just handle everything in the game, right? I think I did some real quick numbers, and maybe I did it wrong. I think that me going blowpipe defeats corp, or even me doing rune crossbow or crossbow defeats corporeal beast before me going 4 into melee. Right? Now, after I get these 6 points, where would I put the remainder? Well, I don't know if I think I'll be able. I'm going to try to do Zuck. I've never done him. So I'm only really thinking about, what if I only get 3 points? My mind goes probably melee, just so I can try out the Thunder Kopesh. So I would get the 25% chance to roll twice and take the highest result. Melee hits have a chance to generate an echo. I got to say the echo is cool for melee. I love the way the echo sounds. And melee attack rate sets 80% rounding down. Now, the echoes, if the Kopesh, I don't think it works this way. If every single echo counts as a Kopesh hit and can cause more lightning, that is broken and hilarious, and it would be very tempting. I'll just keep reading, though, because I think I'll probably only get to tier 3, but let's say I can beat Zuck. Then I just get the extra heal. But maybe I don't take that. Maybe instead I go with the magic. I don't think I'm honestly going to try to avoid magic this league as much as possible, other than training, because I want to go range. And for AoE stuff like chinning we save 95%, so I can chin, and that'll be 95% of my chins are saved. That's pretty awesome. And then we also have unless I change it, chin should be saved. And then if I go Fremennik, which I'm planning to because it's just a stat stick, right? I get the cape slot, I get the necklace, I get the ring. That will put this up to like 99%, I think, save chance for my ammunition, something like that. So basically, I can always use dragon, whatever. If I'm using a Venator bow, I can use dragon arrows and never run out. If I'm using my blowpipe, I can 1-tick a blowpipe and never run out of my dragon darts. Basically, it's really nice. I can use the highest tier bolts. I like it. Melee, I'll probably just, use my Kopesh and try it out, at least to train my melee. But let's just read the other ones here. So a melee, this is the melee rounded down again. And then tier 6 for melee is your chance to generate a melee echo increases 20%. Your echoes can generate additional echoes up to 8 times in a row. So this is kind of nuts because basically you're going to hit something and it has a 20% chance to echo, and that echo has another 20% chance to echo, and that echo has another 20% chance to echo. But you have to realize you're going to have your, from my reading of this, you're also going to have your main attack still hitting during this time. So you're going to have, you could possibly have your 8th echo hitting while your main attack's hitting, while your other echo's hitting. It's going to be a lot of chip damage for a lot of things, which is pretty crazy. And this is where, if the Thunder Kopesh, I'm really doubting it counts, but if each echo counts as a hit for that, you're looking at lightning, 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 and you're just going to completely melt things like the Corporeal Beast or whatever down because of the lightning. And I think Corp, because Corp is in the wilderness. The magic, I went magic last league, and I will say that magic, I found it very strong. I found it very fun. I found it fun without ever getting a shadow. I know a lot of people want the shadow, need the shadow, feel the shadow. They want that max hit. Completely understand that. But magic, first tier, I'll just read it. If you roll above 90% of your max hit with your magic, your damage is increased by 50%. So if you get 90% of your max hit, you get an additional 50% damage. So this is pretty crazy because if you're running, this is a meme, but if you're running Kandarin and you're already getting elemental increases and then you get this increase, that's pretty big. Magic max hit is increased by 5% per tick in between your attacks up to 40%. So the less often you attack, the more damage you do. I don't know where that's super useful. A lot of this seems anti-synergy, right? Because, we'll continue. Magic attack rate is down. So the longer between my ticks, the more damage I do, and then I immediately attack faster. That feels weird. When you roll above 90% of your max hit with magic, heal 10% of magic dealt. 10% of damage dealt, and then you have magic attack rate set to 50%, rounded down above 5T, rounded up below 4T. So again, we have a speed decrease. So why is tier 2? Why is tier 2 a speed decrease? That's weird. And then we have 6, which I think 6 is really crazy. Max hit with magic is increased by 1% for every 100 hit points remaining on your target, up to 10%. On a successful magic hit, if your target has less hit points than your max hit, you max hit. So if you have enough damage, you will just one-hit everything. And I wonder, this is gonna depend on how this is calculated, because you might think, oh, I can hit a 50, and if I can hit a 50, this enemy has 49 health, I automatically one-shot it, right? But if we go over here, it says if you roll above 90% of your max hit with magic, the damage is increased by 50%. So if I'm facing an enemy that, if I'm facing an enemy that has 75 health, my max hit is a 50 before any of these buffs. If my max hit is a 50, then does that mean that I actually have a max hit of 75 because of this tier 1, and therefore I'll one-shot the enemy? But then on top of that, if I have max hit is increased by 5% per tick in between your attacks. So then if I'm facing a mob that maybe respawns slow for whatever reason, do I actually have whatever my max hit is increased by 90% due to the first tier 2 and tier 1, and then that is what I one-shot with? Niche scenario there, but the magic, I think people are going to have to math and ask a lot of questions. I'll double check the Discord. The FAQ got updated, actually. I see a blue. Drygore Blowpipe has an extra plus 10 range strength when putting darts into it. So we got an update on the Drygore. Okay, give me a second here. How does that compare to the Toxic again? Toxic Blowpipe. How do I check the charged? There it is, charged. All right, so the Toxic Blowpipe is plus 20. Drygore is plus 10? Wait, let me check Drygore. Drygore Blowpipe. Okay, no, the Drygore... Wait. Is the Drygore Blowpipe plus 10 normally, so then it would get another plus 10 to make it plus 20, and then it would be the same? I gotta check the numbers real quick on the melee. No? Okay. Okay, they've already updated the wiki. Okay, so it is just a plus. Wait, is it? Wait, I'm confused. Hold up. Hold up. This is live. I'm reading. I'm checking. Okay, so they have factored the 10 into it, so it is a plus 10. So it's going to be weaker than the T, but it's even stronger than I thought. I'll have to throw that in some calculators. But yeah, that's it's interesting. It's an interesting choice. Now I had a different idea that I kind of preferred for this. My preferred way to do the masteries was going to actually be like an experience type system where the more you used a style, the more it upgraded. So you would like benefit by zeroing in, and then if you wanted to stay in one, zeroed in, you could stay there. And then that would also have like devalued things like my idea was, because I don't like the idea of nerfing Soul Wars, to be honest, that much. And like nerfing pest control. So or at least as much as they're probably going to get nerfed. So my thought was, if the combat masteries are something that's leveled up by attacking mobs, then if it doesn't count in those mini games, then it still incentivizes you to do regular training methods. But it's whatever. This is good too. I think that I can go 6 range and just melt everything. I calculated a corp kill without... It was a corp kill without the Grimoire, because I don't know what it's competing against. And I was still doing it in under 3 minutes, I think it was. Like closer to 2 with Blowpipe on average. So I think this is gonna be a fun thing to play with. I really, really stare down the melee though, and I kind of want to do it. But I think range. Because I've never really done raids, and I feel like never miss with 60% pen, that I can just really enjoy myself. I don't really play the main game. I might in the future again. I don't really play the main game. If I did, I'd probably start an iron. So like, for me, it's not like, oh, practice TOA and then go back to the main game and get better. It's just enjoy myself. And I think being able to shoot everything down was more enjoyable.